Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday
Uh,
night for
yes,
me.
you're joining us live from.
Okay, I'm going to take you guys on a trip. Are you ready? Somebody said they want palm trees. I'll give you a hint. There would be palm trees here. You can't quite see them from my view. Uh, I'll let everybody but Wendy guess. Oh, you can't guess. It's impossible. I'm in Barcelona, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Barcelona. What is Barcelona known for?
the
Uh,
church I just went to, apparently.
okay. Would
Well,
you like?
also sangria, cava, if we're if we're gonna go there on a Friday night.
Have you
Cool
been
park,
there?
huh?
Have you been there?
Um, to Barcelona before?
No, 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 no. What you said, if we're going to go there, you said like the
Look at that.
the drinks, the food.
Yes, Wendy just said it. So I went to the number one tourist attraction. I was told if I have 1 hour to spend in Barcelona, the place to spend it is where I just went. We're best known for hosting Jess this week. Sagrada Familia. Wow, look at all of these people know this about Barcelona. It is the oldest unfinished Catholic church in the world. It has been under continuous construction. Yes, paella as well. It's been under continuous construction for 130 years. And even on a Friday night, they're still working on it. It's constantly covered in scaffolding. It's constantly under construction. It's never done and it never will be. Isn't that
And can I read the Teams message you sent me while I was trying to have a important conversation with you that
a
the team's message said, I love churches, always have. This is the largest unfinished Catholic church in the world, has been under continuous construction since 1882.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of shows how I rate. Like, I can't even have a conversation with you. I mean, but I said that was more important, the Catholic Church, to
I know
see.
you said, may I call you, which was very polite. And I said, no, I'm almost here.
Yeah, when you said
It
almost
was,
here, I was like, where? Almost where?
I was
So happy
grabbing a
Friday.
picture.
Yes, happy Friday, everyone. Sorry you don't hear.
Yes.
Uh,
It's a cathedral, Bryce.
October
Yes.
10th, 2025. Now of Work Digital Meetup episode number 280. Thank you, Bryce, for being our official counter. We have to get him a t-shirt or a sweatshirt at one of these points.
I know.
And we're 20 episodes away from a really major announcement, which is really, really cool because we decided to do it at 300.
I love
Um,
it.
which will be fascinating. But anyway, Picasso Museum. Some of us are always under construction.
I love that.
Bryce, what like Bryce, what happens 6/1/2026? I know what happens, but we're not going to let him stop counting, even though I know what
Even
he's
if
going to.
you retire, you have to, you're a founding
Said
member,
retired.
Bryce.
Said retired. Who said retired? That's not.
I'm guessing. I don't know.
No, maybe that's just his termination date or something.
Yeah, he's gonna fire himself on that
Yeah,
date.
exactly. So I hope everyone's had a great week. As you know, when we do these Now of Work digital meetups, we always start with the green, yellow, red. Green, how are you? Excuse me. How are you today? Green, great. Yellow, so. Red, not so good. So so let's go ahead and Bryce makes me laugh. Let's go ahead and start. Green, we're great. Yellow, so. Red, not so good. We've got some good greens going as a way to get us started here.
Wow.
Can't wait to share a story I did. Oh, Jess had a keynote today and was Wendy's very green after hearing the keynote, which is cool to see. Heidi, yellowish moving to green faster. Heidi, that's like whipping someone. We have got ultimate green, ultimate.
I
We
know.
lots of greens, Jess.
This is good. Oh, there's Kristen. A little yellow. That's fall yellow, right, Kristen? Maybe Laurel as well. Okay.
Yeah, Laurel's yellow because I owe her a response to something, and that's my fault. So
Mm.
and not that my response is going to make her massively green, but I owe her a response. So Laurel, I'm sorry about that. That's what happens when you give out your phone number to a lot of people, uh, even though that's not the
You,
channel she used. How are
yeah,
you, Jess?
I'm good. I'm
That
tired.
was
I don't like being pinned down to a color.
until we get the inference model built in here, where when it says good, it can automatically bucket you into a green, yellow, red. You should answer the question with like how everyone else was going to ask the question.
That is true. And the funny thing is, I do, as you know, I do this with live audiences as well, green, yellow, red. I do a little, physical hand raising exercise. I should be harder on myself. I think I am green. I'm hanging on to green, a little yellow. I'm tired. It's been a week and I never quite locked in to this schedule. I'm not sleeping well on European time, but as you know, when you're with colleagues and clients and you're doing these events, there's so much great energy
Yep.
in being together and learning from each other. And so that adrenaline, carries you through. So it's good. It's been an amazing week.
No, that's great. That's great. So I'm green also. I first of all want to apologize for everyone that I for last week. One of the things that does happen when you do, I was going to say when you do October, which is what it actually feels like. When you do October, is you end up in 4 or 5 cities, or at
Mm.
least I do, in 4 or 5 cities in a given week. And last week it caught up with me. So I apologize that we canceled at the last second. I think Jess was half sick and I was full sick.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do we do? Do we both get on here and being miserable, or do we just cancel? So apologies for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, last week was 5 cities in 5 days. This week is 4 cities in 5 days. But all that being said, it was a really, really good week. So I am very
It,
green. Actually, you know what? I'm greenish yellow only because it is a perfect day here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for those of
mm.
you joining us in Minneapolis. It's a great day for a high school football game, and my son Alex has another concussion from last week.
Uh-uh.
So we're in concussion protocol again, and we're probably getting to a point where we've had too many concussions.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
so, uh,
One
Going to
is
the
too
football
many,
game
two is too
tonight,
many.
but my son will not be playing. So
Mm.
that makes me a little yellow. But otherwise, everything else is good. Don't, yeah, being a running back playing football is a it's a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
Um, it, you want, as a parent, want to give your kids a chance to try to do the things that they love, but at the same time, you have a little bit of responsibility as well.
Yeah. Oh, like Ben says, and then you're relieved when it's over.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, I would love to get some participation from our audience today on a couple big things. Your one big thing for the week, one thing that you feel really good that you accomplished, et cetera, et cetera. It's so funny when people say that rugby is less violent. You ever watch rugby? It seems like it's just like,
No.
I mean, it seems like it's just a scrum of humanity jumping on each other. Um, I know it's less violent because there's probably no like head on, but it when people say it's less violent, it kind of makes me laugh. Anyway, it doesn't look less violent. Not that I've ever played, but I'd love the one big thing. So one big thing that you accomplished this week that you feel good about, that you're struggling with. Just what's your one big thing? And then the second thing um, is one thing that you want to talk about today, because Jess and I have a list of topics, but I
Hmm.
would love if there was something on one of y'all's minds that you could add it to our list. Because it's always fun to make these really interactive and make them unscripted. And of course I didn't ask Jess if it was okay to do this. She's probably more tired than I am, but we're gonna try to take an ad hoc topic here as well, for a change. Chris, happy anniversary, 25 years
That's
anywhere.
incredible.
25 years doing anything
Ugh,
is amazing accomplishment. Yeah, I was reading a, great what's the book, Jess, about habits? James Cleary, I believe is his name.
Mm.
About how habits formed, and just thinking about doing something for 25 years, you know, is a crazy amount of time. So, it's amazing. Uh, oh my
Well, that's a good
gosh.
topic
Look at
then.
Ben. Ben jumping right in with yes, James Clear. Thank you, Bob.
Atomic habits. Yeah.
Um, yes, James, Ben jumping right in. Do we do enough to call out bad management practices? Should we more formally call out bad actors? Hmm, it's an interesting topic, Jess. We may have to get to that. We may have to get to that one.
Mhm.
Or we may, that one might be one where we want to phone a friend even, and get someone else on to talk about it as well. Um, Jess Harvey took care of my mental health and treated myself to a day of meditation and chill activities. I wish that I could meditate. We're going to work on this at some point. I've said this before on the show, and I still have not mastered it. Um, Came home after 3 months of being away and traveling. Wow,
Wow.
amazing.
Welcome back, Dorothy.
Yeah, I went to a guided thing at a local museum. It was really wonderful. I struggled to meditation on my own. Yes, that's Jess. There's not enough one big things. So while you're doing your one big thing, I will, or excuse me, while you're doing one big thing, your one big thing, hopefully everyone else will add a couple. It doesn't have to be big. You could take the dog for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be a big thing. Like me, my Whoop died. I'm charging my Whoop. That's my one. That's not my one big thing, but that could be a big thing. So just pick something and interact. Jess?
Yes, I'd love to see them and read them. So I've been traveling this week. My one big thing is sort of an amalgamation, I guess. I've been with vastly different audiences. I went to the Gartner HR conference for EMEA, but I would say it grabs like half the world. Like it's quite global and quite diverse. And Gartner always does a great job of bringing incredible thinking and thought leadership to stages. And so that was Gartner in London at the front of this week. And the rest of this week I spent at Mercer's own conference, our European Rewards Conference, here in Barcelona. And when I say vastly different audiences, all HR people, to be fair, we all generally think about people, work, tech, culture, but the um, recognizing where everybody is on their journeys. And everywhere I go, I talk about generally the same thing: the future of the function, the future of work, what's changing at what pace, how to think about supporting it with technology and becoming digital intelligent enterprises. It's generally the same talk track all the time. But how you storytell, depending on who you're talking to, obviously, you try to meet people in the moment and where they are, and we're still all over the place. And that's a beautiful thing. Today on stage at our conference, I was explaining what agents are because, some people are still trying to understand what role that could play in benefits enrollment, for example. I love that. I love that we're all teaching and learning together. And I think my aha moment is that there's nobody better. There is nobody better to meet this moment than the people who literally understand how organizations are put together, how to think about work redesign. We're not giving ourselves enough credit, Jason. I really don't think we're giving ourselves enough credit. We understand a lot about how to engage and motivate and inspire people, about how to deconstruct work and build people. You can meet the moment of AI or transformation or anything. Go back to the basics, go back to what you know, and apply that thinking. I guess that was a little bit of my aha moment. I see incredibly talented, passionate, emotionally intelligent people doing really, really good work, and we're not giving ourselves enough credit for what we do know how to do.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a really I mean I think it's a brilliant call out. And while we read some of these other one big things, you said motivate and inspire. And one of the things that I've been going back and forth on a lot this week in conversations with people is the difference, and I'm just going to introduce this topic and not drill deep into it right now, between a skill and a trait.
Mm,
Is the ability to motivate and inspire someone a skill, or is it a trait? And what's really, really interesting to me about that is there's this whole conversation about reskilling and upskilling. And I'm kind of like, are we really talking about a skill that you can teach? Are you talking about a muscle or a stage you need to give someone to actually perform on? And I actually think it's more the latter than the former. And I think some of us haven't been on stage for a long time. I think some of us haven't used those muscles for a long time.
mm,
uh Skill, but traits can be honed. Totally agree. This is a
yeah,
long discussion that we're not going to get into right now, or maybe we will in a few minutes. But it's a very interesting, I think, discussion, because I see a lot of people saying the biggest thing we need to teach people is prompt engineering. The biggest thing we need to people teach people is data governance. Like, I don't know, to do some of the stuff you're talking about. Those are things we might have to teach people, but I'm not sure they're the most important things. I'm not sure they're the most important muscle to be flexing right
yeah.
now. And I think
I
it's
think
just,
that's right. And I'm glad you said that because that was kind of the point I made. If empathy is a trait, then coaching is a skill we can develop and train. And when we talk about the reason agents came up today is because I mentioned the number one use case for AI last year in 2024 was its generative capabilities, draft an email, summarize my notes, that kind of thing. The number one use case this year, I've shared before, is therapy, coaching. We're engaging with AI in a different way. Don't just give me facts, information, distill, summarize something, but tell me what to think about it and what should I do next. Make suggestions and recommendations. So we're asking more of tools and technology, which means we have to train them to perform properly in that capacity. When I say we're not giving ourselves enough credit, we know how to develop skills like that, how to apply critical thinking, how to think about workflow design to actually meet the experience moment where people are, not just produce a correct outcome. And so I think we need to lean on some of the traits and skills we already have as people who deeply understand people. And if we apply it to how the technology can work, we have a better chance of getting it right.
yeah. And you guys, really quickly, I'm not trying to, uh, like, skin skill versus trait. I'm doing it only because people are talking about upskilling, and the things they're talking about, I don't actually think are the most important. So I'm trying to figure out how to talk to people about the things that are most important, and I don't think they're necessarily taught skills. I think they're things that need to be more inert, uh, muscle memory, things like that. Anyway, different discussion. We can get to it. There's lots of things in here that I wanted to get to, and I completely lost my train of thought when I started to bring that up, but based on something you said. Jess Chung got a new tattoo with analyst friends in Las Vegas while connecting with amazing people in the industry. Like, I saw a picture of that somewhere, and I didn't actually believe those were tattoo was a real tattoo. I thought it was like magic marker. Uh, until now I just saw it. It's tattoo. Um, Randy, who I owe another person I owe a response to. You can tell it's been a busy week. I'm behind. Um, been invited to the Gartner conference coming up in Orlando. Excited and even a little intimidated by this event. Randy, really quickly, and for anyone else that does happen to be going to the Gartner event, um, this is not about food, but I am doing two dinners, one on Monday night and one on Tuesday night. If any of you are free for any of them, would love to have you at dinner. So please drop me a note on LinkedIn or email or text or whatever, pigeon, interoffice mail, things like that. It would be great to have dinner on either Monday or Tuesday. Monday we're doing with a partner, Arist. Tuesday is Mercer dinner. So if you guys are going to be there, that would be great. Doug Berg always makes me laugh. Got stranded on the ocean with my wife in a broken down boat, and while she panicked, I made a gin and tonic waiting for a charter boat to come. Um, Doug is one of the most calm guys. If I hope you saw Doug's podcast that he and I did, it was a ton of fun being with Doug. I happened to see one of Doug and I and Jess's good friends, Patrick Foss, on the flight at 5 o'clock this
Mm,
morning. Also, uh,
wow.
who's another guy that would do the same exact thing that Doug just listed there. Lynn, I feel like my one big things was dumb. I was determined to make ChatGPT create 5 symbols that represent our 5 values. The creativity was fine, but putting them actually on paper was hard. Then I got determined and made it do it. It argued with me. Lynn, this is such a fascinating thing. I actually did that in a workshop with a client this week. And just as a little tiny tip, ChatGPT is not great at images. If you ask ChatGPT to make you a Canva prompt of the 5 images, Canva is much better at images, and ChatGPT will build you a perfect prompt to do that in Canva, which I'm sorry it argued with you. But once again, there's some interesting ways to get stuff done using all of these tools. Jess, did you see any that you wanted to call out there?
Yeah, Leo, you always ask such great questions, thought-provoking nuggets for us. Why do good things take so much time to happen? This came up with a client last week. They had me out to their leadership summit. They're undergoing incredible transformation across the board. People, tech, culture, their product development is iterating rapidly. And it's a successful growing company, but there's nothing that is the same as last year. And change fatigue came up a lot, but then they also complained about their inability to make decisions fast enough. Uh, and so that makes me think of Leo's question. I continue to argue with people that it's not change fatigue if you're producing forward momentum, if you're iterating in a way that shows progress. The MIT study, 95% of uh, AI projects are failing. Did we have the right measures of success? If we're only counting revenue generation, or positive impact to P&L, that's the only measure of success we have? Or are we actually reinventing and redesigning more intelligent workflows? And so I think, you know, understanding what progress looks like and then clearing a path to make decisions faster, to fail faster, and make corrective actions in real time. It does take a long time for good things to happen, but we expect silver bullets. AI is not magic. Technology is not magic. Transformation doesn't happen when we snap our fingers. I think we don't do enough. And there was another question in the chat about what do you think about HR and IT, sort of this combined operating model and shared governance? That's the most boring stuff that we're sort of skipping over, which is setting up the organization to move fast, to make shared decisions faster in real time. We're skipping over that stuff and we're rushing to tech builds. And that's what's slowing our progress.
Right.
That it seems to me that's coming up more and more, Jason, that we really have to go back to organizational structure, infrastructure, operating model, governance. Governance is the actual accelerator. It's not the brake pedal, I promise you. And so we really have to shift our mind around a lot of these concepts because we're skipping over them, and that's what's slowing our progress.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's that slowing the progress, and then I want to go back to what I want to make sure I want to make sure I get this right. What Lynn said. Um, I think it was Lynn. Sorry, now I want to make sure I get the name right. Oh yeah, how we're narrowing things down to one thing. I think it's lots of different things. And one of the things that I think is so important, tied to Jess, what you said in being able to do this, is being honest with ourselves about lots of stuff. I mean, I hope some people got a chance to listen to the podcast I did with Johannes who's been on this show before. Um, we just launched it this week, and one of the things he said, we happened to record it in Las Vegas, and he was like, Vegas is loud and HR is being quiet. And I just love that quote
Mm,
when he
yeah.
was like, HR is being really, really quiet in some of these conversations that HR should be driving. And in that podcast, he gives some really, really interesting examples of that. So I think it's a really, really important conversation, that what HR people should be doing to stay loud when it comes to some of these topics. Just the other thing that I saw this week, I'm going to get to my one big thing by the time this show's over, I guarantee. But I saw something this week, and for those of you that don't, for those of you that don't interact on LinkedIn, and I realize that this isn't that time is. Oh, Dorothy, thanks for saying that. I realize that time is not. Everyone doesn't have time to just hang out on LinkedIn. I don't either. But I learned so much from LinkedIn, and not from necessarily just the posts, but the conversation.
Mm,
Um, and I know LinkedIn has gotten to a point where it's a lot of ads and stuff like that. But deep down in the bowels of the conversations, there's a lot of value to be had. I saw someone post something about a graphic that I saw from the Gartner UK conference. And basically what I think it said 1% of jobs. I was trying to find it, which is what I was trying to do while you were talking, Jess. 1% of jobs in the UK were going to be impacted
mm.
by AI by 2030. I wish I could quote it exactly. I don't think that's right. 1% of jobs are going to be lost or impacted by 2028 or 2030. And I was like,
Think I might have snapped a picture of that,
it
actually. I'll
might have
find
even
it.
said less than 1%. And I
Yeah.
was like, who are you kidding? Like, I was
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? That is already passed. Like,
Yeah.
there's already more than 1% of jobs that have been impacted. So I wanted to go back, and I just wanted to call that back into Lynn's language is so important, and it's really important that there's nuance in all of these discussions, and I could understand how one could make the case for that statement. But at the same time, I could also make the case that that's not right. If I say
Mhm.
impacted, like used it, like then that's a stupid statement. And this is nothing against Gartner. It's against trying to make sure that we're taking time to understand not just the headline, but the subhead and the context of what's being said when it comes to some of this stuff today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at some of the pictures I took of slides at Gartner. How about this one? This is really interesting. I haven't seen this before. By 2026, that's practically
Uh,
tomorrow,
yes.
50% of organizations will require AI-free skills assessments due to Gen AI related skill atrophy. So we keep complaining about not enough humans. Where are we going to find people to do all the jobs? And in the same vein, we say everybody's job is going to disappear. So, like, we literally say two different things. And this is suggesting that we'll lose critical hard or soft skills because we're over relying on the technology that's eventually going to replace us. So now we have to come up with assessments to see if we still have the skills that we're going to need in the future. I get really tired, honestly, of seeing all of these. You can find a headline exactly the opposite of any headline you want. It's really, really hard to make sense of this. We will always need people to do work, period. Figuring out what that work looks like and the skills that humans will need to do work in the future is the job at hand, not predicting 100% job loss. We have to stop this like hype headline stuff.
Yeah, and so this is the slide. Sorry, I finally found it. And, Ian Bailey, who's a good friend of mine, I love, posted it. And, his comment, and this, I got so much out of this conversation, by the way, and it brings out like the Bill Bormans and the Ryan Melkuses and the Anitas and the Schlomets, like
Mhm.
really like the people that I think are driving the industry forward. Um, what do you think about this, Jess? Less than 1% of jobs will be lost to AI. I mean, you know, are they underestimating the impact, or are we at peak hype?
Yeah, and I don't know if they're talking, I don't remember how this context is everything. Are we talking about employment rate, or are we actually talking about jobs by definition, by count of jobs?
Yep.
Um, I think we have to explain a little bit of context because, to my point earlier, you can find the opposite, the exact opposite of any headline. Also at the Gartner conference, Gartner predicts by 2032, at least 30% of top economies will require certified human quotas. Meaning, as a nation, you have to keep the economy going round by providing working wages so that people can. So again, we're saying two different things with all of these headlines. Certified human quotas keep people working. It's what keeps us thriving, keeps the economy going round. It's what keeps the nation alive. Do we believe that?
I think that one of the things that's really interesting about Ben's comment, when in fire, when in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. when I when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what all this feels like to me. Like, how
Yeah.
do we expect someone to make sense of it? And yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak at a risk management to a bunch of risk managers. Now, that's risky to have me speak to a bunch of risk managers. I think that's
Right.
fascinating. Um, but it was so fascinating that they kept saying that, we've blocked AI. We're comfortable that we've blocked AI. And I think it's totally fine that we've blocked AI. And what's so fascinating is that literally I took a picture of the screen of a slide that wasn't risky. I uploaded it to ChatGPT. And in my presentation, I had a conversation with them about the slide. And they're like, how did that slide get into ChatGPT? I'm like, I took a picture of it. They're like, you can't load slides. Like, anyone can take a picture of anything. And by the way, my glasses take a picture of things, and my watches take a picture of things. So I think that the risk managers all of a sudden were like, oh man, I think we need to
Mm-hmm.
go back and rethink this because IT doesn't have this locked down enough. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what if we didn't think about it that way? Like, what if we actually thought about it if we educated people on the right way to use technologies in responsible ways?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, that is definitely not a risk manager's job. I'm like, okay. Fascinating, fascinating,
Yeah.
fascinating discussion. Jess, my one big thing, really quickly, because I would want to get to it. And I highly recommend you guys, if you've never heard of this, um, take a look at it. I got the opportunity to learn about, I just put in the chat, a new school.
Mm.
And it's called Alpha School. Not sure if anyone's heard of it, but I had a chance to not only meet the people that were responsible for starting this school, but as well as talk to them about their future. And it is a mix between Montessori and learning with AI. Um, and even if you just read the headline of the first part of their website, um, a school where kids crush academics in 2 hours,
I love it.
build life skills through workshops, and thrive beyond the classroom. It's fascinating. Now, so many problems with this as far as scale. It costs $40,000 a kid.
Mm.
Okay. There aren't enough, not teachers, but guides to guide kids through how the school works. So, but I think it's so fascinating and the way that it's marketed as one of the first AI schools with, three commitments: love school because it's engaging and inspiring and built for them, learn 2 times as much in 2 hours and learn life skills. And I just thought I just walked away being so impressed. So anyway,
Pressed, but I would agree that's the US is going to continue to lag far, far behind if we put that kind of barrier in front of access, opportunity, education, and skills. Like it's a
no,
great idea, but we're making this an elite. And that's why certified human quotas, what a weird thing. Do we need people to have uh, income? Yes. Do we want our nations to thrive? Yes. Is certified human quotas, is that the answer? I'm not sure. Enable access to knowledge and skills, enable everyone to have a path forward. That's probably more the answer.
yeah, so Jess, my point is that there's a blueprint.
Hmm.
My point is that and that there's a blueprint to bring back into public schools. My point is this shouldn't be its own little luxury thing.
Right.
My point is that there's a blueprint that we can now take that we can say is working or start to prove that works that we can then bring back. Oftentimes it does
Yeah.
take outside to come inside. Bob, you said, is that more than a Montessori or private school? The answer is no. It's not more. It's the same. So like I said, but the difference is you are spending 2 hours instead of 8 hours
Yeah.
on education, and you're spending 6 hours on developing life skills
I
that you
love
don't
that.
get otherwise. So, but that it's a huge discussion, and it's much more than we're going to have right now, because of time. But I do think that's the path that education is on. And yes, Renee, that's the broader point of how current education isn't working in K through 12 and higher education. Yes. So that was my one big thing, Jess,
I
that I
love
was
it.
excited to bring back. Now, notice there's a whole bunch of cool AI stuff that happened this week. Hey, has anyone tried Sora and made a cartoon image and sent it to their friend? Um, Connect with me if you haven't. It's a fun little thing. Why is it fun? Only because it helps us see what the future might look like. Okay. The second thing, OpenAI announced their agent tool. Why is that a big thing? Because once again, when the world has access and the
Hmm.
world can start to do something, it's put pressure back on enterprises to do it. Okay. So those are two things just to watch. Okay. I'm not saying that enterprises are going to have Sora and everyone's going to start making cartoons of weird stuff. And yes, I know there's danger of having someone make a cartoon of your dog going down a ski hill and your dog doesn't actually ski, and that's not true, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The idea is the capabilities that we're trying to
Yeah.
show are there today. We don't want them used for nefarious purposes, of course. And then what if you actually watch any video on agents and on the ChatGPT agent tool, I'll put a link in the chat. I would recommend one video. It's 29 minutes. Okay.
Mm.
So it's not something we're going to show like a popcorn session here together, but I'll put a link in the chat where we actually talk about, or they actually do a really good job of explaining what it is going forward. And I hope that you guys get a chance to look at it, because if you are interested at all in artificial intelligence and the impact on work, it's an important one to watch.
I love that. So in the the back half of my week spent with Total Rewards professionals, there were a lot of questions around use cases. I would say of all of the specialties, of all of the HR disciplines, Total Rewards is a little bit more lagging than perhaps some of their peers in TA, for example, or learning and development. For good reason. Rewards professionals handle a lot of sensitive workforce data. They have to be very careful of how they use this. And they're also making human decisions and recommendations around things that we care very much about, how we're recognized and rewarded. And so, for good reason, and I shared a stat from a Mercer study, 8,000 hours saved with AI in 4 months by one of our customers. And somebody questioned that stat, 8,000 hours. That's like a head count in just 4 months. And they said, how was that? How did that come? How did that value get realized so fast? And can anybody guess in the chat what AI was doing for a rewards professional that saved 8,000 hours of working time in just 4 months? You guys, data cleansing, just cleaning data, taking 9,000 jobs, finding redundancies, and getting them down to 300, cleaning up data so that we can work with it. So I love your example, Jason, and talking about what's possible and these agentic capabilities. I always think about AI in three buckets: faster, better, different. You have to clean up. You have to do things faster. You have to clean up your processes and your workflows and get your data in order to start to make it more intelligent. That's better, doing it better, more intelligently, making suggestions and recommendations before you can earn your way into now transform. Now, can we reimagine this all together? And I think we think that we have to rush to the end goal and reinvent and reimagine everything. You probably can't get there unless you start with the use cases that, by the way, are a little safer. So for a risk person, that's a use case they can probably get behind because it's riskier to have bad data in the organization.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that one of the things that's so like just the concept of cleaning data, like you just said, is such a small thing, yet huge, huge impact.
Grading jobs. Exactly, John.
Yes,
Yeah.
grading job, another great impact. I mean, you guys, I do this all the time with clients. I look at their career site. I take a link of their career site, I put it into a Gen AI tool and say, tell me what is good and bad about this compared to the competitors with the same SIC code.
Yeah.
And it is amazing what you get. One company realized that they were marketing jobs to people in Spanish and had a completely insensitive cultural reference on their career site to people that spoke Spanish. So even those little tiny things can start
Yeah.
to make a big difference and open your mind to new ways of thinking. Um, Bob, really quickly, I did put a great podcast link in the chat. And if any of you are looking for something to listen to about and are interested in the future of education, this Joe Limont, who I met with in Austin this week, this is his school. He started this concept. They now have 8 of them around the country. But this podcast is a great podcast to learn more about Alpha School if you're looking for that.
I love that.
Uh, just the other thing that I think is really important that that I want to bring up when it comes to AI is I had a opportunity to present to a big life sciences company on Monday of this week in New York. And I don't even know how to ask, I don't even know how to say this. Because it's a really good point. The question was and this was a life sciences company, if we could put our efforts towards curing a disease, or if we could put our efforts towards, this is their dumb example they used, which I didn't like, but this was the question, doing performance reviews faster, where should we put our efforts?
Mm.
And I went back to, in my mind, it actually brought up Lynn's point earlier about why am I asking both? It is both. Like I have people that should be using tools. Forget AI. Oh my God. I just love John. I would, if I wasn't so busy next week in 5 cities, I would go to Las Vegas just to hug John.
Just to see John.
Yeah.
John, I'll see you in Las Vegas.
You-
Yesterday's opening keynote, I was this morning, yesterday, actually called it artificial idiocy. John, you would have loved him. Dan
But
Chatfield or something. I can't remember his name.
Yes. But one of the things I think it's really interesting is that it it should be both.
Hmm.
You know, like we should be making all of our lives better, easier. We should be learning. We should be having better conversations with our kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Using whatever tools we have. And as I told someone earlier this week, they're like, I said, how many of you use AI? They're like, I don't even know. I was like, that's probably good. Like, I think the best AI is now invisible AI.
Mm,
I almost think if we don't know we're using it and we're just
yes,
using things to make us do better work and solve
completely.
problems, we shouldn't even say we're using. I mean, I hope when someone watches this episode in 2 years and says, "Wow, they were talking about whether or not we should use AI," or like the risk managers said yesterday about AI's cheating. Um, I really think it's interesting this moment in time. Is it like I don't know if you guys remember this, but when the iPad first came out, so many people made fun of that name, the iPad. Like
Uh-huh.
it was a massive meme, if there was such a thing back then, joke about the naming. And now all of a sudden, people use an iPad as the generic Kleenex term for what the
Tablet.
thing is.
And
You
yeah.
know what I mean? We're kind of at that same point right now with AI, where it's like, hey, is it AI? Is it AI? Is it AI? Is it AI? And we're applying it almost like Kleenex. And I hope going forward, like we're every one of the tools we use, like on this laptop over here, is LinkedIn on my screen. Like
Hmm.
this is all AI.
Yeah.
So like I hope we
I
stop.
agree. I say that all the time. Most of the value we'll get out of AI doesn't have to be extracted through operator-driven, hands-on keyboard, knowing how to extract value from it. Most of it is going to be so embedded, intelligently serving us. I agree with you. I will say I'm a pretty big Scott Galloway fan, and I listened to his podcast. I think it was from last week. I listened to it just a few days ago in the gym in
Jess, can I
London.
interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah,
I keep the Scott Galloway thing in
yeah,
mind. I don't want to lose Dorothy's point. Dorothy, that is, and I don't know, like Dorothy, I just want to, we need to get Dorothy on. Maybe
I
next
know.
we can ask Dorothy to come on. There has to be balance and guardrails in everything, Dorothy.
Yes,
And I'm not picking on you, Dorothy, but like I'm so frustrated with people saying that to me. Like,
yeah,
yeah, but I'm not saying there shouldn't be, but there's
right.
should be guardrails on whether or not you should be able to take a picture of a dog pooping, or there should be guardrails on whether or not you're able to there's guardrails on everything. There should
So
be guardrails on
my
everything.
story works really well here. Hang with
I'm
me. If
sorry.
you
Oh,
No,
please.
actually, this is
Not yelling.
perfect. This is a perfect tee up because if you follow Scott Galloway, he NYU professor. He gives a lot of technology advice, investment advice. He talks about world politics. He's very knowledgeable. He obviously co-founded Section School for AI literacy and education. There could not be a more tech forward AI champion guy on the planet. Okay, Scott Galloway. He partnered with Google Labs. They asked him to test something with them. Can we apply a thin layer of AI over all Scott stuff? He's got tons of content online, podcasts, he's written stuff, he's got materials galore. AI loves data. There's tons of data about stuff Scott has answered before, stuff he has said before. He can be quoted and referenced. And they said, what if we turn you into synthetic Scott? So that you can answer questions, like your digital twin can answer questions and say all of the stuff that Scott would say times 1,000. Like, let's multiply you. He said, sure, let's go ahead, let's build it. Let's see how this does. He also talks to young men a lot. He talks about masculinity, um, mental health, so there's some other stuff that he's also a champion of. So they produced this model, they tested it after 12 hours, he said, take it down. It can get my voice right. It can give accurate information right 1,000 times. I can't risk 1,001 time. It gives investment advice. It tells you where to go to school and what to major in, or it asks me about mental health or asks me for advice. If one young man thinks they're actually talking to me, he was uncomfortable with sort of how good it was and could it get it wrong even once. And he said, I don't trust it yet, take it down. And they took it down immediately. That doesn't mean they're not going to put it back up. That doesn't mean
Yep.
they're not going to keep refining it and making it better. This guy could not be more pro AI. Yeah, make a synthetic version of me. I'd love to serve more people with knowledge and information. But even a pro AI, huge champion says, we're not there yet. And I can't risk that one answer being wrong or one person thinking they're actually talking to me and they don't know how to discern and question the information they're getting. I think that's a really great example for giving ourselves permission to have healthy skepticism, but keep moving forward anyway. We can get this right.
I totally agree, and I hope that that fits into what would be a guardrail.
Yes, absolutely.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a technical guardrail. It's a human guardrail, right? I mean, this is where I get worried that we sometimes like how do I make humans responsible versus how much do we try to make the technology so guarded that it's idiot proof? And I just think that we've proven over and over in humanity that we can't make technology idiot proof. So we have to figure out how to educate humans to be responsible. And Dorothy, I love you. So when I'm saying that, I wasn't picking on you specifically. I love you because you put those things in there.
Mhm.
Balance and guardrails, of course. Like, like even the fact that you had to say that makes me want us all to take pause. And maybe we should just do a session on that, Jess. Balance and guardrails. Because I'm not saying go all in and do everything with AI, and I'm not saying do everything with guardrails. But at the same time, it's so important that we realize that I think Renee said it well. We're likely past being able to implement Gen AI guardrails in the tech as much as we want or maybe should have. So to me, if I can't do that and that cat's out of the bag, quote unquote, what do I have to do? Focus on really good human at the helm thinking when it comes to how do I leverage these things.
Yeah. I forget who said it, if it's Zuckerberg or Elon or somebody. 100% of ad content online will be artificially generated in the next couple of years. That means 100% of ad content online will be artificial by the next political election in the United States. Does that excite me? No. Are people going to be able to tell what's real? Is that accurate? Are we going to fact check? Like the propaganda opportunity of 100% of ad content being artificially generated, that's a little nerve-wracking. And so I want all of the Dorothys at the table. I want all of the risk people at the table. I want all of the total rewards people who are worried about data quality at the table when we say, well, actually, how do we make sure that we're using good, healthy data, that there are fact-checking loops, that there are feedback mechanisms, that we're remembering when to kick out to a human for support? I love risk averse people being at the actual design table because we'll remember to ask the right questions.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think that's great. Tech is biased and not always factually correct, right?
The
Is that a
humans
tech?
that design tech are biased. Tech does what we tell it to do.
Yeah, Dorothy, I mean, I think that is such a I mean, this is a great conversation. I think it's really, really important. Randy just put Scott Galloway's blog out there. Um, Michelle, we know that tech security, the biggest threat is the human element. Feels like it would be the same with AI. I found this interesting that being on a virtual conference where a senior tech leader didn't agree with that. It's about the people who design it. Yes, it's
Yeah.
about the people who design it. It's about the data. The data that's put in is bias. Like we could go on and on. I had this long conversation, Jess. This is the last thing. I know we're out of time, and you want to go to bed probably. But the I had this long conversation about this workday case again, which
Ugh, yeah.
keeps coming up, and
Yeah.
I keep trying to remind people that Workday didn't hire the person. Workday made a recommendation to a human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, by the way, it's the same thing that happened, quote unquote, in PeopleSoft.
Right.
We made recommendations to managers on a slate as to who they should hire. Now, did we say, I mean, maybe we weren't as convincing as a narrative at the time because I just had green, yellow, and red lights, but we still did, and we still had bias. So
Completely.
I think it's
I mean,
so
one of the
important.
parts of that lawsuit is that AI is reviewing applications and kicking people out. I think the person who started this class
In their
action,
40s, right?
yeah, so I got auto rejected in the middle of the night, 2 seconds after applying. So clearly AI is kicking me out. No, somebody designed the system to start auto rejecting candidates because they had a qualified slate and they were no longer considered. I'm guessing. So that again is a human design consideration. If you have a qualified, if you have enough qualified applicants past a certain gate, that position should no longer be posted so that you don't have to auto reject every new applicant you get from this
Yeah.
point forward. That's a human design thing that was screwed up. I'm speaking out of turn. I don't know the details, but I'm guessing, having been a recruiter managing recruiter workflows, that's just take it down. It shouldn't even be posted and don't auto reject. Uh, don't actually have it posted would be the better answer.
And I love Claire's comment. It's a great closing comment. Companies need to invest in those critical thinking skills or traits, because I don't want technical skills. These are thinking and human skills, more than ever before. Not because we're losing skills by using AI, but because we need them more than ever to determine what's real and what's not anymore. That's that. But also, there's a whole bunch of other things, Claire, that go along with that. Like, are we moving fast enough? Are we actually? I mean, said that I was talking to an HR group, and on one arm they had tattooed inertia, on the other time they had tattooed incremental.
Mm-hmm.
That's never going to work. So anyway, wow, Jess, the time. Now we should bring on our guest. No, no, just kidding. Sorry. Uh, no, this was a great conversation. We didn't even get to like topics that people wanted to talk about. I'm sorry that we just rambled that whole time.
No, I think we covered some of them. It was good to check in with everybody. There's a lot happening really fast. And it's these kinds of dialogues that I hope we're having in our organizations too, when we're figuring out our use cases and how to test this stuff. I heard it's always good, being with people who are actually elbow deep in the work. These are the questions everybody has at these events as well.
And I totally love the crowd. Oh, by the way, you know what, Jess? I also did
What?
a little, and I rode in a Waymo.
Oh, you did? I was going to do that in San Francisco last week and I forgot.
Yeah, my first Waymo.
And
The
it dropped
driver
you
did.
off properly? Did you feel safe?
The driver wouldn't even say a word to me. That's a total Scott Galloway joke. Only, only a clean version of it, not a bad version of it. But anyway, it was a very cool. It was way more than I expected. Good job, Dad Pulver.
Scott is apparently keynote. He's keynoting at Unleash World in Paris
Yeah,
next week. I don't even care what I'm doing. I'm going to clear my calendar and go see that guy.
for sure, for sure. Well, Jess, safe travels home.
Thank you.
Sounds like people will see you in Vegas.
Ugh, yes.
John's already
I'm
ready.
going to
John's
touch
already
down at
ready to.
home first and then back
John's
out.
already ready to see you in Vegas.
Perfect.
Okay. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. If you're live, and for those of you listening, talk to you soon. Take care,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.